Hey guys, this is Rudy coming at you live from Palm Beach in Florida. It is Monday. It is November the 7th, and great day on the markets today. If you have a diversified portfolio, if you are exclusively in Petrobras, you probably didn't have a good day. That might be temporary, good or bad. In other words, it could get worse or it could get better. Nobody knows. In days gone by, I remember there was a story about someone asking JP Morgan, the world famous banker, what the stock market was going to do the next day. And JP Morgan replied, well, it's going to go up. And if it doesn't go up, it will go down. So let's take a quick look here at one of your favorite stocks of mine, Petrobras. I'm assuming it's one of your favorite stocks because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. But I want to just spend a few minutes talking about Petrobras and talk about where we are today. Now, many of you have asked me over the past few weeks, where do we go from here with Petrobras when Petrobras was trading at about $15 or so? I mentioned to several of you, in fact, I might have mentioned to all of you because I said so on my channel, take some profit. No one gets poor taking a profit. Now, of course, very many people are hesitant to sell when the stocks are trading high because they're motivated by greed. And that's never a good situation to be in. There's no harm in taking profit from time to time or trimming a little bit of your profitable gains. Even if you have to pay taxes on it, it's okay. It's better to take some gains and pay some taxes than just to ride the loss. However, not everything is doom and gloom. Of course, we cannot predict where it's going, but the fact of the matter is right now you can actually buy Petrobras at $12. Now you might say, Mr. Oxy, because remember, I'm still Mr. Oxy, and if you look at Occidental Petroleum, you were up about 3.5% today, the last time I looked. But anyway, you might say, if it's trading at $12, should I buy it? And the answer is, I don't think so. Right now I'm probably more in a hold mindset than a buy mindset. Although, 1186 not a bad entry point, but of course it could go lower. Nobody knows, right? What we do know is this: we have a company with a market cap of almost $80 billion with a PE ratio of 2.58, which means it's literally the least expensive super major energy company you can buy today. Well, is it on sale? Well, it might be an ongoing sale because it might drop some more. How low? Well, the 52-week low that we have here is $9.58. If Petrobras goes to around $10 or thereabouts, maybe if it dips below $10, I would probably, just from a mindset point of view, be almost automatically in a buy mindset. Now, the reason why I phrase it that way, or if I say I would probably add to my existing position, is because fundamentals change and they change on an ongoing basis. So because I don't know where Petrobras will be, if it gets down to $9 or $10, I will need to make a decision at that point in time. And I'll probably make another video and kind of share my thoughts with you. On the other hand, of course, if tomorrow Petrobras spikes, 2 or 3 or 5%, we'll all be happy. And then everything I'm saying today doesn't really matter because we don't know, right? And that's why we want to be investors and not speculators or gamblers. Anyway, this is what the little chart looks like today. And three things that sort of jump at me, obviously I can go into more if I needed to, is this enormous dividend that it's paying. And we're going to talk about that in just a second, some more. The current price, which is about $12. For many of you, that might be your entry point in terms of where you started the year. Having said that, though, during the year, you received a lot of dividends and you might have repurchased some more stocks with the dividend reinvestment program, like I do, or otherwise you might have just taken the cash and spent it on something fun or something nice, which means you're underwater, right? So you need to take these things into consideration as you go. And then we're sitting left of the mid-range point on the 52-week high and low. So let's quickly take a snapshot here and see what's going on. So Petrobras has actually returned negative almost 12% over the last month. Petrobras is not unique because in the Zacks oil and gas category of integrated emerging markets, to which Petrobras belongs, has lost 7%. So integrated emerging markets as a whole, which is not just energy, but includes energy and includes Petrobras. So oil and gas in total is down about 7%. This is emerging markets, not Brazil, right? All emerging markets. Now, Brazil and specifically Petrobras has underperformed because the entire integrated emerging markets sector was down only 7%. And comparatively, Petrobras was down nearly 12% over the past month. Petrobras is expected to post earnings per share of $1.27 for the current quarter, which represented a year-over-year change of almost 100%. Consensus earnings estimates of $5.60 for the fiscal year 2022 indicates a year-over-year change of 135%. So not doing too badly based on the current prices in terms of where we're at. How about for 2023? The consensus earnings estimate of $3.95 indicates a change of negative 29.5 from what Petrobras it was expected to report a year ago. So you can see there's a lot of volatility in this market, and you have to be very, you have to have a very strong disposition if you want to be long in Petrobras. So take that into consideration, because if you're running scared when it gets volatile, you probably shouldn't have been in the stock in the first place. Let's take a look at what the smart people on tip ranks tell us. So we have a Petrobras stock prediction average, $15.16. Based on the closing price today, or the last price of $11.85, this represents an uptick of approximately 28%. Do you have the balls of steel to actually stay in the position, or do you want to cut and run? I can't answer that for you. Only you know that, right? So we have a low on the analysts that cover Petrobras of $12.30 and a high of 19. That's how you get to the average of $15.60. Right now, we're close to that low price target, right? So today we actually closed at $11.86 or thereabouts. So we actually dipped just below the total low price target. So has it hit the bottom? Who knows, right? Nobody can tell you for sure, except maybe Jim Cramer or something. We'll talk about the experts in a little bit, and I'm not knocking Jim. He's had some good calls and some bad calls, and in his defense, most of his calls has actually been decent. Petrobras announced a dividend just very recently, equaling approximately $8.5 billion. Are you going to get that dividend? Well, we don't know. We'll talk about that as well in just a second. Stay with me. The dividend will be paid in 2 equal installments. If you receive it, you'll get half of it on December the 20th and the next half on January the 19th, which is kind of what they did just a couple of months ago when they paid the dividend in 2 installments, and we all received big fat checks. Are we going to receive this installment as well, or these installments as well? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe President Lula knows. If you are not comfortable being in this position and being long in this position, just cut your losses and get out, because this is not for the faint of heart, right? The ex-dividend date, by the way, is November 22nd. So today is the 7th. So you got about 2 weeks if you want to hold on to the stock in order to ensure that you are eligible for that next dividend. So if you sold out of your position within the next 2 weeks, you wouldn't get the dividend anyway. Now, of course, if the ex-dividend date is November 22nd and you're still in the position, but for political reasons and legal reasons and other things, they do not actually pay out the dividend, you're not going to get it anyway. So if your primary motivation for being in this stock is to receive this big fat dividend check, then you shouldn't be in this stock right now. How about the experts? So on October 27th, which by the way is just over a week ago, Petrobras was maintained as a buy at Goldman Sachs, and Goldman Sachs maintained its buy rating on Petrobras and raised its price target to $14.70. That was on October 27th. On October 24th, on November 4th, just a week later, Goldman Sachs cut to neutral from buy. So, you know, when you are an analyst, what you can do is you can talk it up 1 week and talk it down the next week, and it doesn't really matter, because if you're wrong, you just change your narrative or your hypothesis, and we just carry on and do whatever we do. So that's why I pay very, very little. I was going to say respect, but that would be a little bit too strong a word. But I don't attach too much value to the analysts' expectations and estimates and things like that. Earnings growth. Now we're talking about the company as arguably the most superior indicator of a company's financial health, but nothing will happen if it can't grow its revenues. So for a company to increase its earnings from an extended period of time without increasing revenues, it's important for them to increase their revenue. And it's important for us to know the potential revenue growth. Now, this is very, very challenging to do, because even though Petrobras, for example, generates twice the amount of production than, for instance, Occidental Petroleum, Petrobras, like Occidental Petroleum, has absolutely no control over the price of the commodity. It does not set the price for WTI or Brent or natural gas or anything else. So it's kind of at a loss in terms of creating revenue expectations that are somewhat predictable. they can predict and they can tell you and give you guidance on how much they're going to produce and how much they can potentially sell into the market, because we know what the supply and demand kind of curve looks like. What we cannot predict is what the commodity price will do. We can expect that the commodity prices will increase as we go into the colder climates for the northern hemisphere clients, which includes most of Europe, obviously most of North America, especially Canada and the northern parts of the United States, the Scandinavian countries, etc. And they will be paying more for energy in the winter months, and the supply is probably going to have an uptick as well. We are already seeing some strains on the existing supply. In the United States, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is near empty. Biden's pretty much emptied it in order to keep the price of gas low in going into the midterm elections, because that is what he was trying to do to win himself some votes. It hasn't worked. Now we have an empty Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and Biden might get shellacked tomorrow in the midterm elections in the United States. So it's a lose-lose. In addition to that, we at the crossroads of almost running out on diesel. That'd be detrimental to the economy as a whole, because trucks, ships, trains, etc. run on diesel, and we need those trucks, ships, and trains to move goods in order for us to have a supply of the goods we need on a daily basis. These are not good macro indicators for the energy sector as a whole, because what we want is a vibrant commodity cycle and energy sector, which is not only based on supply and demand, but also a reasonably predictable consumption and pricing, which is tough to do. What about Petrobras's revenue growth? Consensus sales estimates, so remember there's a bit of a gap here because of the things that I just mentioned, is approximately 33.8 billion for the current quarter, and points to a year-over-year change of about plus 40%. Now that's its sales, so it's its revenue, right? The $123 billion and $108 billion estimates for the current year and the next fiscal year indicate changes of, for this year, plus 47% as compared to last year, and then for next year, negative 12% compared to this year. So these are tough, man. The guys can't even predict the weather, never mind predict where commodity prices are going to be in 2023. But this is what we're doing here. If you just model everything based on what we know, the picture looks okay. But like I said, you're going to have some significant fortitude to stay in this position if you decide to stay long in Petrobras. For me personally, I'm okay. I'll stay long. Right now, I'm actually, because of the dividends that I've reinvested, I'm okay. My cost basis is pretty much the same as where the stock is right now, so I haven't actually lost any money, not even on paper. No investment decision is efficient without considering valuation. These are things that you must do when you do your due diligence. So what we do here is we compare the current value of Petrobras's valuation multiples, such as price to earnings, price to sales, price to cash flow, etc., to its own historical values, not to its peers and not to the market as a whole, like the S&P 500 or whatever, to help us ascertain whether Petrobras is fairly valued, overvalued, or undervalued. Right now, it's actually somewhat undervalued, because if you look at the Zacks value score, it's grading Petrobras an A, which indicates it's trading at a discount to its peers. Now, that sounds like a contradiction in terms, because I just said we need to compare it to its own ratios rather than its peers. But if you do compare it to its peers, just for what it's worth academically, Petrobras is trading at a discount. And as I said at the beginning, it's pretty much the cheapest super major in energy you can buy right now. But here's that big elephant in the room. The uncertainties related to Brazil's presidential election have not been resolved. So the line at the bottom says once it has been resolved, but it has not been resolved. In the previous video I made on Petrobras, I said, right now, President Lula probably doesn't even know what he wants to do with Petrobras. But if he's the president, which he is, he's probably going to make some changes, because Petrobras is a state-run company. So what are the guys doing? So here's Reuters. Reuters is just a wire, right? So this is not them reporting. They're actually just telling you what's on the wires. Brazil prosecutors seek to halt Petrobras payout that the firm is trying to defend. Another one, Reuters says former Petrobras executive asked Brazil court to block the dividend payment. So there's a whole lot of moving parts here, right? Just on Thursday last week, Petrobras had announced this massive dividend payout of $8.5 billion. And then right here, I'm still on Reuters, the solid July to September performance follows a string of stellar quarters under market-led executives whose days may be numbered. as a change in its management seems imminent under leftist President-elect Lula da Silva. So, guys, that is kind of where we are at. That is sort of where Petrobras is at. And the big elephant in the room, as I mentioned, is this new president, Lula. We don't know for sure. I'm sure right now President Lula doesn't know for sure what President Lula is going to be doing with Petrobras. But what we do know for sure is that there will be state interference. If you are uncomfortable being long in Petrobras, even if you are sitting in a negative position, cut your losses and run. You probably wouldn't even be losing money in real terms because of the massive dividends that you've earned over the last year. But if you are uncertain, or if you are feeling nervous and scared, don't stay long. Just cut your losses, get out. There are many things that you can buy, including, as I've said in many, many videos up until now, XLE, the energy index. We know that the energy prices probably are going to spike over the winter period for the Northern Hemisphere countries. If you're scared and you don't know where to put your money, get out of the single stocks, remove the single stock risk if it makes you feel uncomfortable, and buy an index like XLE. And if you buy into XLE, you're buying approximately 20% Chevron, 20% Exxon, that's 40. And the next few companies that are held in that index are super companies. They include Occidental Petroleum, ConocoPhillips, Marathon Oil, EOG Resources, Devon Energy, and XLE has about a 4% position in about 5, 6, 7 of those stocks. So let's call it 4 times 6 is another 20%. So you got 20% Exxon, 20% Chevron, that's 40, another 25% or so of absolute A-grade, fantastic energy companies. That's 65% of that index, and it pays a dividend of 3.5%. So if you want to eliminate the single stock risk and you cannot stomach it, get out, just cut your losses, park the money in XLE, and see what happens. And guys, that's about the best advice I can give you. This is not stock advice or investing advice. This is just common sense, logic, and rational thinking. So on that note, this is Mr. Roxy saying goodbye. If you're strong in Petrobras, long and strong, good luck to all of us. Otherwise, whatever you do, make sure that you protect your investment, because rule number 1 is don't lose money. And rule number 2 is don't forget rule number 1. Take care. Bye-bye.